He tells me that you went through this situation where you said, is he ever going to know what he did to me? Is he ever going to realize the pain that he caused me?
Yeah.
He knew the day that he died. First of all, where are you guys from?
Michigan.
I'm glad that you're here. There's a soul that's specifically trying to reach out to me that died in a collision. He's telling me his name is Pete. Was there somebody Pete that was connected to you, or Peter?
That is a good family friend of ours.
How did he depart?
A motorcycle accident.
First of all, know that he was right here in my ear trying to get my attention. Sometimes that will happen, is that if a soul has to come to the front of the line and speak, they will. And he keeps saying to me, Matt, this shouldn't have happened. This shouldn't have happened, he tells me. And what's crazy about this is that I do want to let you know that he is taking responsibility for what had happened on that day. He says to me when I'm connecting with him, Matt, he goes, I feel like somebody came into his blind spot, or he couldn't see in a blind spot, he's telling me. Because he tells me that's how he had died. And I know what it was. He had a helmet on that day. And he says to me, the helmet cut off some of his visuals because I see him colliding with another car or another vehicle that was on the side of him.
Yep.
So even though he went like this to look behind him when he was merging or changing lanes, whatever he was doing, I see that there's this black, this area he couldn't see. So he thought he was free and clear, but he collided with another car. And that's what's so crazy, because people are questioning, how did he die? He had a helmet on. But he says to me, it was the way that he fell. He died on impact, he tells me. And I actually heard that the way that he died was that his neck, unfortunately, had snapped and he had passed. Know that he's stepping forward to let your family know that he's okay. And more importantly, thanking them for all the prayers that they had said for him here in this world. He's actually showing me that there was some type of a plaque that was done in memory of him as well, he tells me. He's bringing that through, and he wants to thank his family and friends for the way that they had donated that for him. Please know that he's also here for one reason. He's here to let you know that he is with your dad on the other side, because all of our spirits can see one another. And your dad's coming through because he tells me you were not expecting him to step forward and speak today.
My biological father.
Your biological father.
Wow.
Who you did not want to hear from today. But know that what happens is that I can't control who you want to hear from. I have to tell you who's here. And your father, first of all, is coming through because he says to me, Matt, he says, I know that she's mad at me. I know that she's upset with me. He says, and he also knows that you try to pretend like he didn't exist in your life. Because it's so painful for you. But he tells me this. He says, Matt, he says, I owe her a big apology. He says, because your father tells me that he was not proud of the person that he became before he died. And because of that, this man is telling me he died alone. He says, Matt, do you know when I died, nobody was there?
Yeah, the hospital called me and I went in the night before and I held his hand and I said everything I needed to say. And I told him I forgive him. And then I went home and then he passed the next morning.
And nobody else was there, is that true?
I was the only one that came.
Do you know that your father says to me, Matt, that's when I realized what I did within my life. So your whole life, he tells me that you went through this situation where you said, is my father ever going to know? Is he ever going to know what he did to me? Is he ever going to realize the pain that he caused me?
Yeah.
He knew the day that he died. Not because you told him, but because when he died and he was leaving this world, not a single person was there for him. Not a single person showed up, but you. And you know what's so sad? He says, the day I died, I realized what an amazing woman my daughter was. Because out of all the things that I had done to her, out of all the times that I wasn't there, she forgave me. He says, at that moment, I wish that I was a part of her life because I gave up. He says, I gave up an amazing daughter. And instead, he says, I lived a terrible life. But your dad's coming through from heaven right now. Why is he in heaven? Because your dad truly regretted the things that he had done. And I'm going to tell you, sometimes there's unfinished business. Sometimes things happen after our loved ones pass on, right? That we don't get to resolve here in this world. But the fact that you resolved it that day that you went to see your dad, you got everything off your chest. Your dad also took responsibility in heaven. And because of that, I do want you to know that he says to me, Matt, he goes, I'm watching over her every day. And I'm doing that and I'm coming from a place of love. Why is that? Because sometimes the souls that watch over us, like I know that you're thinking in your head, I don't want my father watching over me. That's not the person that I want watching over me. That when somebody does us wrong here in this world, when somebody does something to us that they regret, right? or there's something they don't get to make amends with, or something that they don't get to do. Do you know in spirit they can't try to come through and make it right? And that's what your dad's doing right here, right now. And he needs you to know that. It's his way of acknowledging when I'm connecting with him this. He says, Matt, he goes, please let my daughter know. He says that her stepdad is there. And I know that he was the father that really was a father in life to you. And I was also able to look back on his life and see all the ways that he was there for my daughter and not me. So know that in heaven, you have two people that are watching over you, your dad and your stepdad. And know that this is their way of acknowledging that you have those two special angels with you always and forever in spirit.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to leave you with that.
Thank you so much.